All right. In our next video on the series, The Closes, I want to give you, this is not so much a close where when you do it, you're then looking for them to buy. These are a couple of what I call explanation closes. You know, so much of the time in the close, you should not, let me repeat, much of the time that you're in the close, you should not be spending negotiating dollars and cents. If 70 or 60 or 80% of the time you're in the close, you're doing nothing but explaining about social media or an incentive or a discount you're about to give them and then giving them a discount, first of all, that means you're not spending very much time in the close. It's all about the money. And you're just a fancy auctioneer explaining where the money comes from and how much it is. Where money comes from and how much it is. How about this payment? How about that payment? Give me this much down. And people aren't going to buy from that. That's not how you close somebody in this process. Remember, a masterful presentation, they want it, they need it, and they've got to have it. And then the close becomes very easy. In the close, a lot of your conversation should be reviewing the order. And then letting them hear you talk about ways you might massage that order to save a little money if we did this or that. And they either take you up on it because those are great suggestions, or no, Harold, we understand it's a little more, but we want to keep it the way it is. And they are buying into why it's a little more because of the fact they literally made the decision to keep the more expensive option. And I'm talking about that in the close. And I'm explaining things to them to help make them understand, like it adds value to the home, return on investment close. So a lot of these closes are meant to actually be explanations to them to help them wrap their mind around that this is a good decision. They're putting their money to good work. They're absolutely smart to be doing this. They're seeing it the right way. And a very small part of the time is actually, here's some money off and do you want to get it? So I want you to think about how you're spending your time in the close. If it's all about, here's a little money off, here's the payment, here's what I need down, and here's what we can do it for. All right, let me tell you where this is coming from. If you're doing that, and that's the majority of your close, that's why you're not closing. Because that's not what closing is. So here's a couple of subjects for you. The first one I want to talk about is presenting the idea to your customer that using our financing protects them and makes this project 100% safe for them. By financing with us as opposed to paying cash, it 100% protects them and makes this a completely safe decision for them. And this is what I mean by that. See, I'll even explain this to a cash customer and see if they want to finance for this reason. To completely protect themselves and make it completely safe. So I might at some point in the close go to the person and say, John, you know what I have found the biggest concern, the biggest fear people have when I'm talking about doing work on their home. Do you know what that fear is? And the homeowner's going to, and let them think, let them answer. Don't answer for them. Don't go, do you know what that fear is? And then tell them what the fear is. Let them answer you. Have them participate. If you find yourself asking a question and then providing the answer right after it because you can't stand the silence while they figure it out, that's another problem. This is a conversation. Let them answer, even if it takes them a minute to figure out or think what the answer is. Quit answering the question for them. So you know what the biggest fear people have, John? And John's going to go, what? What would the biggest fear be? The biggest fear most people I talk to have is that this project's actually going to go the way they hope it's going to go. That I'm going to deliver everything I say I'm going to deliver, that my company's as good as I've said it is, and that, they're not going to get into some horror story like we've all heard people get into when they come to having people work on their home. Makes sense, doesn't it? That would be one of the biggest concerns people have. Yeah, I know it. And with what we talked about earlier in the industry, that's a reasonable concern, isn't it? I mean, half of the homeowners out there who have had a contractor on the property would not want that person back. Reasonable concern, isn't it? So let me explain about why financing completely protects you. See, if someone decides they want to do this on cash terms, they're going to give us a third when they place their order. They're going to give us a third when we deliver the materials and the final third when they're completely satisfied. Now they're holding back a chunk, and that's a payment stream as things go along, but that's a lot of money coming out. Let's say you're doing a $25,000 project on your home. Perfectly capable of paying cash. But what you do is you put a nice reasonable deposit, a couple of $1,000s down on a credit card. Just some good faith. You use the financing to get approved. It's not set in place. The financing doesn't get set in place until the project is installed and finished. All we do is approve you for the financing and get it set up. If you care to make use of it, you don't have to make the decision of using our financing until after you've seen the project and it's all done. So you put a reasonable good faith deposit down on a credit card because that protects you on that, doesn't it? Company doesn't deliver, doesn't give you goods, that credit card company will give you your money back. We all know how that works. And then you get approved and we get the financing set up and you don't give us another dime. We front all the money for the labor and the materials and everything else, and you don't give us another dime until everything is completely done and you're absolutely satisfied with what the project resulted in. And then you have the decision of either A, writing us a check for the balance, and it was a cash agreement, but you were completely protected along the process, or, you know what, we thought about doing something else on the home. I'm going to go ahead and just sign the slip and you can let that financing that you set up for me. We'll use that for a few months and maybe I'll pay it off early down the road. You're in the driver's seat as far as what you want to do. But you're completely protected. You don't have to come out of pocket with a ton of money, and you're completely protected from start to finish. That's what the financing does for you. And you know why this is such a valuable thing for you to be aware of, John? See, most contractors in this country can't even offer financing. And the ones that do have a real high interest rate. You know why they have a high interest rate? And let the homeowner answer again. And they're probably going to say something like, well, because they get a kickback from it. Actually, they don't. They're not allowed to do that anymore. So the reason it's a high interest rate is because the banks consider those high-risk loans. Remember, 50% of people, homeowners don't want the same contractor back? That means a lot of times the homeowner's unhappy with the process or what happened. And in that case, it makes it hard for the bank to collect their money if the person's not happy with what they got or with the job that was done. And so they have to build that risk into the interest rates. And so the interest rates are 18, 22, 24% with those kind of loans. Not us. The banks are banging on our door every week to have our business because they know our loans have no risk to them because how happy our customers are. So the fact that we offer financing at such competitive rates tells you how the banks look at us and how they consider our business compared to some of the other clowns out there on the market. Word choice. See, I got the clowns in there. And then it also protects them completely because they just do a good faith deposit on a credit card, don't give you anything else. The financing's set up, but it's not finalized till the project's finished. And then the homeowner can decide whether they want to write us a check or make use of the financing. And they can wait all the way to the end to make that final decision. It's a powerful close. And it's a nice conversation to have with the right person. Remember, don't go in firing every bullet with every person. You're picking your conversational bullets out of your gun belt and only using the ones that apply to the person you're in front of. Now, the next close is called subtract, add, multiply, and divide. It's a great close. I often do it when I'm sitting on the 1 year or no later than the initial visit incentive, the one-click number. And I use this close quite a bit, but it's going to be at one of those 2 points because this is a remind them of the value and quality of what they're getting close. This is another conversational one that makes it easy. So what you're going to do to tee up for the subtract, add, multiply, and divide close is you're going to remind them, hey, John, now remember, I told you, and if you haven't said this, you say it now, John, one of the things I want to point out, if you haven't said it, or if you have, John, one of the things I want you to remember, and you say, John, one of the things I want to point out is that in order to save money on this project, we'll never change the quality. This is a custom project. You could go to another company. Here comes the subtract. You could go to another company and make a decision to do a lot of things that would save money. Now, we won't sacrifice that, but you could do this with plastic walls. You could reuse the plumbing lines and the valves you have. You could get, you could pick installers up at 7:30 in front of the big box store, some guy that works, by the day. Don't worry about a long-term warranty. Just get like a 12-month limited warranty as opposed to an unconditional one. Use low-end fixtures. You could do a lot of things on the project, on the labor and the materials that could save you a bunch of money. And if you do this right, the homeowner's going to say, I don't want that. And if it's something like a window, you say we could do it in double pane instead of triple pane. And you could do it with the hollow core vinyls instead of the solid composite. You could do it without low E instead of 22 layers of low E. And as you go through it, they're going to go, no, I want that one. I want the one you show them. And then you go to add. And that's why, as a company, we won't do those things. And now you give them all back to them. That's why we always take it down to the studs. We always change the plumbing lines. We always change the valve. The installers are certified by the manufacturer. You got a warranty that doesn't have any loopholes, doesn't have any cost to you, no trip charge. It's not prorated where it drops in value like tires or a battery. It doesn't run out of time. And at the window, you give them back the triple pane, you give them back the solid frame, you give them back the fact that we use the nylon weather stripping, and you give them all the things back. And then you multiply them. And then on top of that, because we use quality materials, this is something that actually adds value to your home. If you use low-grade materials to do a project at your home, you can actually hurt the value of your home. If you do a poor job of putting a bathroom in or windows on your house, or a poor job of putting a roof on your house, that hurts the value, doesn't it? But when you use high-end materials and great quality labor and do a beautiful renovation, a beautiful project on your home, it adds value to your home, doesn't it? And they go, yeah. And so not only are we doing a great job with what we're choosing with the people and the product, but it actually adds value to your home. And now I'm going to divide it out. And what I usually do is I usually turn to whatever the monthly number is they've given me. And I reference that monthly number. And if it's $300, I'll go, isn't this worth $10 a day to do it the right way? I mean, you said $300 a month, that's $10 a day. Or if they said $250, that's $7 to $8 a month. Isn't it worth $7 to $8 a month to get this done the right way? Or they said $350. That's worth $12, $13 a day. Isn't that worth $12, $13 a day to get a day, not a month? Isn't it worth $10 a day to get this done the right way if it's $300? Isn't this worth $7 to $8 a day if they said $250? Isn't this worth $12 or $13 a day if they said $350? And you bring it down to that little number, and if you get any pause or any kind of head nod, reach out for that fist bump, welcome to Remodel USA, or that handshake, and assume the sale. So that's the subtract, add, multiply, and divide. It helps justify in their mind why they would want to spend a little bit more and get it done your way.